Well, hello again, all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. Georgia Beer Views back at you today with another one. What I'm looking at is a beer from Boulevard Brewing Company. This is the Dark Truth Imperial Stout. So, Boulevard Brewing Company is out of Kansas City, Missouri. Best by date on this is December 21st, 2022. 9.7% alcohol by volume and 60 IBUs. It's a straight stout, it's not a barrel aged stout. Boulevard does make a wonderful whiskey barrel aged stout and a lot of other great beers that I've had over the years. So let's go ahead and get into this thing. Very dark, relatively thick, coming out of the bottle there into the glass. There's your pour. Jet black appearance, can't see through it at all, even when I hold it up to the light, about a half finger's head. I would say that it's a tan head. The aromas with this, very roasty, toasty for sure. Getting that roasted barley malt right up front, some nice toasted bread notes, a little bit of dark chocolate, maybe a little bit of caramel. Maybe a little bit of coffee from that roasted malt. Obviously, there's no coffee added to this beer, but it almost has a little bit of a coffee aroma. And I think that's just from the roasted barley malt, the intensity of that, and how dark and roasty it is. At 9.7%, I'm not picking up on any of the alcohol. Some of the hops are coming through. There's like an earthy hop note. It does smell slightly hoppy, which for a stout is unusual, but at 60 IBUs, you're getting up there towards like the Russian Imperial range with the bitterness there. It smells really good, no doubt about it. So, without further ado, let's get into this brew. Cheers. Very intense roasted malt character right up front. Dark toasted bread, dark chocolate, a little bit of coffee from the roast. Definitely more on the bitter side for a stout. It starts out roasty, toasty, and bready and bitter. A little bit of dark chocolate in the middle, but there's really no sweetness. Maybe a touch of caramel. Yeah, but it's very light. And then it's funny. Usually you get the sweet malty characteristics up front and then the bitterness, any astringency, stuff like that from the roasted malt tends to come in more on the back end of things with the palate. But with this one, I'm getting the intense roasted malt character right up front, that bitterness, that coffee, and then a little bit of the caramel sweetness and the more malty flavors are coming through on the back end to finish it out. The 9.7% is masked exceptionally well. It's not an alcohol forward beer. It's really not even warming going down the throat. I have had this sitting out for about 15 minutes just to kind of let it warm up. I don't like to drink my stouts, especially the higher alcohol stuff like this, super cold right out of the fridge. You want to let them sit out and warm a little bit so that you can pick up on more of the bouquet with the aroma and a little bit more of the flavors. They start to develop as the beer gets closer and closer to room temperature, which is definitely the case with this. Um, it's a very enjoyable beer. It reminds me a lot of a little bit lower ABV version of the Stillwater on Fleek, which is a 13% straight stout. It's got a lot of those same roasty, toasty, intense roasted malt character, that breadiness that you get from a really good roasted stout, like the super roasty stout. The carbonation with this is actually on the medium side. I'm definitely getting a little bit of burp action going on here, which is nice. You know, sometimes stouts are completely flat almost, like there's no carbonation whatsoever. There's a little bit of carbonation with this, a little bit of prickliness in the mouthfeel, and that carbonation really makes it a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit refreshing, I guess I should say, which for a stout is not always the case. So a little bit of a refreshing quality to such a an intense drinking experience with that roasted malt, that richness and that breadiness and that dark chocolate and that coffee. It's very nice. And the finish is actually relatively dry. It's on the high medium, getting in there towards or close to a heavy body with the beer. I think if they barrel age this, my gosh, this would be, it would mellow out some of the intensity from the hops and the just the richness of it, that roasted malt character, that super intense roasted malt character that you're getting. I think they should barrel age this. Now, I have had their whiskey barrel aged stout. That's a lot different than this. But I think if they took this beer, this base beer, and barrel aged it, I think that would be absolutely incredible. Um, Anyway, awesome beer. I I wish maybe that it was a little less bitter, maybe a little bit more balanced, maybe a little bit more caramel, malty type characteristics. But it's definitely, if you're into the old Rasputin, Russian Imperial, if you like the more bitter stouts um, with that intense roasted malt note, then you should definitely buy this. It is one of the better, I guess, true stouts, because it doesn't have any artificial. It doesn't have any artificial flavors. It doesn't have any natural flavors either. It doesn't have any additives like chocolate or maple syrup or whatever. It's just straight stout. All of the flavor you're getting, all of that intensity is coming from the roasted malt and the hops that are in this beer. And I think there's something to be said about that. And how well that the alcohol is masked at 9.7%, I think that's very impressive. That's an indication of a high quality product. So I'm going to go with a 96 out of 100. It's a most excellent beer. It's getting up there. Um, it's not super complex. It's pretty straightforward with all the flavors that you're getting. But I don't think they were going for anything other than that. I mean, because it is straight stout. It's not barrel aged. They don't add anything to it. It's just the roasted malt, the yeast, the water, the hops. That's it. That's all you're getting with this. And I'm thoroughly enjoying this. So 96 out of 100 for Boulevard Brewing Company's Dark Truth Imperial Stout. Buy it, try it, let me know what you guys think. That'll do it for this beer review, guys. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Until next time, everybody. Cheers.